$50,000. To some, it sounds like a mountain of cash, the first big milestone. To others, it sounds like nothing, barely a down payment in many cities. But what I've discovered, after decades of watching people build and destroy wealth, is that $50,000 isn't a finish line. And most of the time, it's not a starting line either. $50,000 is a trap. It is, perhaps, the most dangerous number in your entire financial journey. Why? Because $50,000 is what I call the complacency death zone. It's just enough money to make you feel good, but it is nowhere near enough money to change your life. It's the exact amount that gives you permission to take your foot off the gas, to reward yourself, to buy that new car or take that expensive trip, resetting your spending baseline and throwing you right back to the start of the game. I'm Elon Mars, and here we don't talk about hacks to get rich quick. We talk about the psychology, the mindset, and the brutally simple, yet emotionally difficult, math of building real financial freedom. And in today's video, we're going to dissect exactly why hitting $50,000 is a giant trap, and how you must use that milestone not as a stopping point, but as the fuel to break through what I call the brute force barrier, the first $100,000. That is the real starting line. We're going to talk about the simple math that turns $100K into 1 million, and most importantly, the fatal psychological mistakes that 90% of people make that keep them stuck in financial no man's land forever. If you're ready to understand why the real game only begins at 6 figures and how to navigate the hardest journey, the desert between $100K and $500K, then hit that like button and subscribe. Because changing your perspective on these numbers might be the difference between making it or staying trapped. Let's be clear about the danger of $50,000. The problem isn't the money. The problem is you. The problem is what this number does to your brain. You spent years, maybe a decade, saving. You said no to dinners, no to vacations, no to impulse buys. And finally, you look at your investment account, and there it is, $50,000. Your primate brain, wired for immediate reward, screams, "We made it, now let's spend it." You feel safe. You feel you deserve it, and that word, deserve, is the most expensive word in the financial dictionary. Because the mathematical truth is that $50,000 is not working for you yet. Let's do the math. If you have $50,000 invested and get an average historical return of 8% a year, say JAR in a simple S&P 500 index fund that generates $4,000 a year, $4,000. That's about $333 a month. Is it good? Yes. It's a nice bonus. But is that going to pay your bills? Is that going to retire you? No. At this stage, your money is still an intern. It can't do the heavy lifting. The heavy lifting is still you. Who is building your wealth at $50K? Your contributions, your sweat, your money is still learning to walk. The problem is, psychologically, you feel like you've already run a marathon. You feel like Scrooge McDuck swimming in coins, but in reality, you've barely bought a ticket to get in line for the amusement park. The $50K trap is the lifestyle inflation that comes from this false sense of security. You relax. You stop contributing as hard. You decide you can finance that $45,000 SUV. And in an instant, you're no longer at mile 10 of the journey. You're back at the starting line, only now with a monthly payment. This is why I beg people to change the goal. Your first real goal isn't 50Ks. Your first real goal, the first mountain to climb, is $100,000. Why? Because $100K is what I call the brute force barrier. Getting to the first $100K is the hardest, slowest, most painful part of the entire investment journey. It's like pushing a giant boulder up a hill, on a rainy day, barefoot. In those first $100K, the returns from compound interest are almost irrelevant. It is 99% your ability to save. It is pure willpower. You don't get rich investing to the first $100K day. You get rich saving. It's a game of defense. It's a game of sacrifice. But something changes when you hit 100K. Psychologically, it's the first six-figure milestone. You've joined a new club. But more importantly, the math starts to change. Your $100,000 at that same 8% now generates $8,000 a year. $8,000. That's $667 a month. Now we're talking. That's already a second salary in many places, a minimum wage one. Your money has graduated from intern. Now it's a junior employee. It's working alongside you. If you're contributing $1,000 a month, your junior employee, $667, is almost matching your effort. You're no longer pushing the boulder alone. But this is where the second trap appears, and it's even more subtle than the first. The 50K trap was complacency. The 100K trap, it's boredom. You fought tooth and nail to get to 100K. You wait a year. You contribute $12,000, $1,000 a month. You earn your $8,000 in interest. At the end of the year, you have $120,000. You think, seriously? That's it? I fought that hard for $20,000. It feels slow, incredibly slow. And while you're waiting, the world around you doesn't stop. You're on Instagram and you see your college buddy, the one who never saved a dime, on a boat in Dubai. You see your neighbor, the one you know lives paycheck to paycheck, parking a brand new Tesla in the driveway. And you? The smart investor, the disciplined one. You're still driving your 2012 Honda Civic, and your brain starts to whisper, this isn't working. There has to be a faster way. Maybe I should try that crypto. Maybe I should try day trading. Maybe I should take my 100K and put a down payment on a rental property. And it's right here, this exact moment. This is where fortunes are lost, not in market crashes, but in impatience. This is what I call the desert from 100K to 500K. It is the longest, most mentally exhausting part of the journey, and it's where the absolute majority of people give up. Think about it. Boring. Passive investing is the equivalent of watching grass grow, and your brain hates it. It craves action, drama, a story. That's why the casino of day trading and meme stocks is so seductive. It's not about the money, it's about the dopamine. It's about the thrill of pulling the slot machine lever. People prefer the chance of getting rich quick, even if it's nearly impossible, over the certainty of getting rich slow. Accepting the boredom isn't being passive. It is the most active form of financial discipline that exists. It is your declaration of war against instant gratification. It's you telling your primate brain, I'm in charge here, not my impulses. Most people can't stand this monotony. They need to do something, and that something is almost always the wrong thing. Here's the first big plot twist, the one that most people take a lifetime to understand. The biggest risk to your wealth-building journey isn't the stock market dropping 30%. It's not a recession. It's not inflation. The biggest risk is you. It's your need to look rich long before you are rich. It's your inability to accept boredom. Your greatest enemy isn't the S&P 500, it's your neighbor's new BMW lease. Lifestyle inflation is the terminal illness of the middle class. It's the reason why most people, even high earners, die with a net worth of zero. They spend their entire lives upgrading the quality of their cage, but they never buy the key to get out of it. They raise their standard of living with every raise, ensuring they will forever be on the hamster wheel. They treat their investments, that hard-earned 50K or 100K, like a glorified savings account for the next big purchase. Oh, we hit 100K, let's use 30K to remodel the kitchen. That's not investing. That's pushing a boulder up a hill just to watch it roll back down. It's like trying to fill a bathtub with the drain wide open. But what if you don't do that? What if you get past the 50K trap? What if you fight through the 100K boredom? What if you accept that the path is slow and boring? This is where it gets interesting. This is where the magic happens. Let's look at the math, the snowball math. To go from $0 to 100K hours, If you invest $1,000 a month at an 8% average return, it will take about 7 years. 7 long Dow brute force years. 7 years of pushing the boulder. But now, how long to go from 100K to 200K with the same $1,000 a month? Guess what? It's not another 7 years. It's less than 6 years. And to go from 200K to 300K, now it takes about 4.5 years. And from 300K to 400K, less than 4 years. Are you seeing the pattern? Your snowball is finally gaining mass. At every new stage, your money is doing more of the work than you are. You're still putting in your $1,000, but compound interest is putting in more and more. Your junior employee got promoted. He's a manager now. And he's working 24/7. He doesn't take vacations. He doesn't get sick. He just compounds. And then you hit the inflection point, the real turning point. For most people, this happens somewhere around the $500,000 mark, $500,000. Let's do the math again. What is 8% of $500,000? It's $40,000. $40,000 a year. Think about that for a second. $40,000 a year. That is more than the average salary for an American starting their career. Your money, all by itself, without you lifting a finger, is now earning more than a person working 40 hours a week. Your money is now working harder than you did at your first job. If you are still contributing $1,000 a month, $12,000 a year, your money is now contributing $40,000. The game has flipped. Completely. Remember the boulder. You're not pushing anymore. You're at the top of the hill, and the boulder is rolling on its own, gaining speed. Gravity, compound interest, has taken over. Now, how long to go from 500K to $1 million, even if you keep contributing the same $1,000 a month? The snowball will take you from 500K to 1 million in about 5 to 6 years. It is the fastest part of the entire journey. Going from $0 to 100K took 7 years. Going from 500K to $1 million takes almost the same amount of time. This is why I say, the first $1 million is 90% psychology and 10% math. The hard part isn't the formula. The formula is boring. It's buy a low-cost index fund like VOO, Vanguard S&P 500 ETF. Keep buying it every month, and shut up for 2 decades. That's it. I said, easy. I didn't say, fast. The hard part is surviving yourself long enough for the math to work. The hard part is not falling into the 50K trap. The hard part is crossing the 100K desert of boredom. The hard part is watching your neighbor change cars and you don't. The hard part is the fear. And this is where the last 2 fatal mistakes happen. The first is the hero syndrome. This happens when you're in the desert, bored. You start to think you're smarter than the market. The market looks expensive. I'll sell everything now and buy back in when it dips. Or, the S&P 500 is too slow. I'm going to find the next Nvidia. Let me be your mentor for a second. You won't. Study after study, from Morningstar, from Vanguard, from Fidelity, they all show the same thing. The average investor who tries to time the market has drastically worse performance than the investor who just buys and holds. You know why? Because you have to be right twice. You have to know when to get out, and you have to know when to get back in. Nobody gets this right consistently. The market is an ego-humbling machine. You don't get paid for being right about the Fed's next move. You get paid for being patient. Your job is to allocate capital and get out of the way. Trying to time the market is like trying to jump onto a moving bullet train and then jump off and then jump back on. In the dark, you're going to get hurt. The data from Vanguard is brutal on this. If you missed just the 10 best trading days in the S&P 500 over the last 2 decades, your total return would be cut almost in half. Half. Are you willing to bet half of your future on your ability to predict the unpredictable? That's arrogance disguised as strategy. The real strategy is time in the market, not timing the market. The second fatal mistake is the evolution of the 50K trap. I call it goalpost shifting. It's when you don't give your money a clear purpose. Your money needs a job. If you don't give it the job of buying my future freedom, it will find another job on its own. And usually, that job is buying that cool watch or making a down payment on that beach house. I see this every day. People get to $250K and say, "Great, now I can buy our dream house." They liquidate the portfolio, make the down payment, take on a giant mortgage, and they're back at zero with an even bigger monthly expense. They have reset the snowball. They push the boulder all the way up the hill and just let it roll back to the bottom. You must define what enough is. You have to protect your snowball as if your life depends on it. Because it does. Your future life depends on it. And enough isn't a vague number. It's a specific number. It's your freedom number. It's the amount that, when invested, pays for your desired lifestyle. Not the Instagram lifestyle, but your lifestyle. This is the war between external status and internal peace. Most people choose status because status is visible. You can post a picture of your new kitchen. You cannot post a picture of your peace of mind. That's why you have to be brutally honest with yourself. What is its job? It's buying time. It's buying options. It's buying the right to say no. Give your money that name. So, let's go back to the beginning. The $50,000. Why is it a giant trap? Because $50,000 is the death zone of complacency. It's the point where the temptation to live a little is stronger than the vision to live free. It's where your dopamine-starved brain sabotages your future self. Your journey to $1 million is not a straight line. It's an exponential curve. And the first 90% of that curve looks and feels like a flat, boring line. The hardest part is believing in the curve when you're still on the flat part. The math to $1 million is absurdly simple. The psychology to $1 million is brutal. It is the hardest battle you will ever fight. It's you against yourself. It's you against your fear when the market drops 20%. It's you against your greed when a random stock moons 500%. It's you against your impatience when you've been driving the same car for 3 years. I know it's hard. As your mentor, I know it feels slow. I know it feels unfair that the world seems to be passing you by while you're doing the right, boring thing. But time is going to pass anyway. 10 years from now, you will be 10 years older. The only question is whether you'll arrive there with a bunch of memories of new cars and credit card bills, or with a portfolio that is silently working to buy the only thing that truly matters, the only thing you can't get back, your own time. Don't fall for the 50K trap. Use it as a launch pad. Break through the 100K barrier. Embrace the boredom of the financial desert. Protect your snowball, because on the other side of that journey, on the other side of the boredom and the discipline, there is a point where your money finally takes over. And the view from there, it is worth every second of the wait. I'm Elon Mars. And remember, the game isn't about getting rich quick. It's about getting free forever. I'll see you in the next video.